Alright, so this is my VMAX. Just got it, and I'm gonna do a little ride along, let's call it, on the 2014 Yamaha VMAX or Star VMAX, whatever you want to call it, and walk around it so you can check it out. All in all, I like it. People respond to it very, very well. You might notice that it's got a pink helmet attached to it right now, and that's because I'm going to pick up my girl. She's going to ride with me. Let's see, I got her jacket and stuff in this bag. I got to loosen it so I can put it on. She's much smaller than I am. Alright, should be good. Let's check it out. Alright, let's check camera position. Looks good. Everything looks alright. Okay, good. Let's rock. See, we're halfway to empty right now. I gotta watch because people come around this corner like they don't have any sense sometimes. Okay. Alright, so earlier I did a little test. You should be able to hear me pretty well. We're going to take a quick little peruse and give you my opinion on the VMAX. So we're going to make this video pretty short, but as a whole, I really like the bike. Took me something to get used to though, because I've always had sports bikes in the past. Been quite some years since I've had one, but anyway, so I was a little leery. But when I saw this at the dealership, I was thinking about getting another sports bike, but I saw this. Actually, it was a used version of it. It was 2012, and the way it looked stood out to me. It looked like exceptional. In fact, it looked really aggressive, and I like that. So it has a sporty look. It looks unique. Most people look at it and they ask questions about it, stuff like that. So I like that. It's kind of like why I bought my car. My car is the same type of thing. I like the attention when I need it, but when I don't want it, I drive the other car. That kind of thing. But anyway, so how's it respond? How's it handle? Well, truth be told, is it responds and handles very, very similar to the sports bikes that I've had before. And my first sports bike that I had was actually a Honda. Excuse me. A Honda CBR 600. It wasn't a 600R or RR or anything like that. It was just a CBR 600. I think it was actually a 96 actually. So yeah, it was a little older, but it worked for me. It was my first bike, From there, the next thing that I ended up buying was actually I think I had that for, I don't know, maybe 6 months to a year. Then I ended up buying another Honda. It was a RVT 1000 or RC51, whatever you want to call it. It was a two-cylinder bike, V-twin. It was cool because it had a really unique sound to it. Very loud, very aggressive. I ended up putting different pipes on it. But anyway, comparing that bike to this bike, This is a much closer comparison than it would be to the 600. Obviously, this is a 1700 cc engine that its real design is talking about quarter mile stuff. And guy next to us just kind of acknowledged the bike. I don't know if you got to see that, but anyway, it's quarter mile, and that means it's very, very quick in a quarter mile, faster than a lot of street bikes. It definitely will push the limits of some of the top street bikes out there. So that's a cool feature. But on the flip side, it does not have the high-end speed that you're going to get from, some of like your 1000cc super bikes. So that's something to think about too. If you're one of those people that is looking for the high-speed thrill, most people at this point don't care much about it. But this top speed is about, I think it's 138 is where it's limited at, governed at. So it's kind of funny. My car has a higher top speed. I've had my car to 165. The limit on that is 175 miles an hour. But anyway, so that's a difference. In fact, when I found that out, which was after I purchased it, it felt like a little bit of a bummer to me. But I got over that, because you know what, the acceleration and usable speed, real speed that you'll use is really going to be below 138 miles an hour. So that ceiling isn't that big of a deal. We can handle that. But anyway, so it is a more comfortable ride than what you would get with a sports bike. I can ride this thing. I'll tell you what, I rode my 600, probably a couple of weeks after I got it. I took it down to the beach, and that was interesting because that's about an hour and a half away from where I live. And I'll tell you what, I didn't have gloves at that point, and it was just painful. Not only was it painful because of the position that I was in, but it was painful because I didn't have gloves, of course. So all the weight in a street bike, a lot of your weight is being supported on your hands, so anyway, the RVT 1000 or the RC51, I wouldn't even consider that trip because I know that I couldn't drive that straight through. So now this, in contrast, I can ride this. The furthest I've ridden it though, and I guess the furthest distance I've ridden it is to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia from here is just about an hour. But even so, I was able to ride that hour, or 45 minutes, whatever, to Philadelphia. And when I got there, I didn't feel exhausted or in pain that I need to get off the bike. I continued to ride around the city, and then end up driving back. So yeah, this is something. And also I had, my girlfriend was on the back. She was comfortable as well. Now, she has limited experience on bikes, so I took her to the dealership and we got on, one of the sports bikes. And everybody likes the look of a sports bike. I think, I think they're more exciting. It could be more exciting to look at as a whole, or, the ideal of it, whatever. But anyway, put her on the back of that, and it was kind of interesting to see the difference in response. She immediately said it wasn't comfortable to her, and she was just on the back for a little bit, not that long of a period. So just as a whole, the sports bike is a cool looking thing, but not comfortable. I think it'd be awesome to have if you had, the type of people that go to tracks, spend your time there. That'd be awesome. But I think it also is an expensive hobby at that point, because if you're driving hard, it's possible that you could need new tires right after one day, of riding hard. So, I don't know, just something to think about. But anyway, so yeah, I like the bike. I still have everything I needed to have within a sports bike, but I get the comfortability as well. Now, this does not have or at least, right at stock, it doesn't have a windshield. And, initially it's hard to tell the benefits of having a windshield or whatever. You take it for granted on a sports bike because they all have some type of wind protection. This does not. And so, excuse me. Driving around town doesn't really matter. Going 50 miles an hour doesn't matter much. When you get up to even, 60, 70 miles an hour, at 70 miles an hour, you start to realize that your helmet is definitely moving some. When you get above 100 miles an hour, I can say that your helmet starts to lift off your head, or you feel the wind on your helmet. Of course, each helmet's going to be different, have a different effect in the wind. Anyway, you definitely recognize that you don't have any wind protection at all, at that point. So, yeah, that's just something to think about too. But I have seen people put screens on them. I, for one, don't think that that's something that I want to do, because even though it is a cruiser, I want to get away from the cruiser look as much as possible, because it's just not what I currently find attractive in a bike. Just not. So anyway, past that, I got no complaints about the bike, except for the mirrors. If you can look at the mirrors, I don't know if you can see that or not, but anyway, I don't like the style of the mirrors. I want to change that. One of the things, though, is they're hard to adjust. You have to actually use a ratchet of some type. They have nuts and bolts, basically, and that's keeping them in their position. And they're either grabbing or they're not grabbing, meaning they're in position or they're not. And once you break them loose, they're loose. So, for example, I hit a bump hard enough that it was a hard bump, but it wasn't like I'm going to wreck or anything like that. But my left mirror decided, hey, I'm not hanging on no more. And so it's just flopping around now. And that was kind of disappointing. And to know that he just spent 20 grand on a bike, the mirror's flopping around. So that was, probably the only time I felt, disappointed, with anything. But I was able to, I couldn't do it while I was riding, because it takes too much. But anyway, I pulled over. I was able to fix that. Wasn't a big deal. Just tighten up the nut. I did it by hand. It hasn't came back apart or loose since then. So I don't know. The power, I haven't really experienced all of it at this point, and part of that is because it's still breaking in. And right now I got 626 miles on it. I've had it for about 3 weeks now. But what I need to do is get about 400 and some miles on it, more. Basically I'm trying to get to 1,000, so I guess that's 300 something. But anyway, after that point, they say that the bike is broken in enough that you can go and ride a little harder. So right now, in general, I'm keeping it under 5,000 RPMs. Now, if you notice, if you're looking at the RPM meter now, it's got a shift light, which is kind of cool. And I'm going to go ahead and pass this person here. So, let's make sure that's not the local law enforcement, which it is. So, we're going to take it a little easy. And I think it looks like we're clear up here. Yeah, we should be alright. So, signal over, run the downshift, give it a little power. So you see, we got up to 90 some miles an hour really, really easy. And I pretty much stayed under 6,000 RPMs. I have the shift light set. It is programmable. It's kind of cool. It's programmable for each gear, what you want your RPM limits to be on. So at that point, it's gonna either come on, or it'll come on at that RPM. But you can also tell it what RPMs to go off I set them all. You can set them all at once. I set them all to be 5,500 RPMs. That's when I'm getting my warning. So I want to stay as close as I can underneath that level. So until I break it in, then I'm curious to see. They say the power band on this is about 7,000 RPMs, which I have yet to hit. But I can tell you that up until then, it's still a hell of a ride. Interesting enough, looking for like numbers like horsepower and torque, on Yamaha's website or Star's website, whatever you want to call it. It isn't easy. It isn't easy to find at all. So I don't know. They do advertise that it's 1,700 cc's, but that's pretty close to the extent of it. So yeah. Anyway, almost where we're going here. So we're gonna go ahead and call this done. I don't think I have anything else to say. I'm sure somebody will have some comments or questions or tell me what I should have bought. But I'm pretty happy with what I got here. A lot of people, the comparison to this is the Ducati. I don't care much about the Ducati. I don't care for the looks of it. However, I understand that it will handle better, even though it's a slightly slower, I should say, bike in like your quarter mile and stuff like that. But for me, the straight line speed's more important because I'm not interested in pushing myself to the limits on a corner just to find out that I found my limit. So, or exceeding my limits, my skills. So yeah, I'm just an average rider, average Joe. I feel like I'm comfortable and confident, with my level of abilities, but I also am not the person that's doing wheelies all day or anything like that. So anyway, almost where I'm going. So I'm gonna go ahead and call this a goodbye. Goodbye, folks. Next time.